They force another turnover. Clark, the quick pass, whips it right to Cunningham. 500 career assists for Caitlin Clark, the fastest to do it.
Caitlin Clark just shattered a record that took some of the greatest point guards in WNBA history nearly double the time to reach. And here's the part that nobody is talking about. She did it on one of her worst shooting nights of the entire season. 3 for 12 from the floor. In a sold-out arena where fans booed her every single time she touched the basketball. In a game her team lost by 2 points. On a night where 2 empty possessions in the final minute cost Indiana everything. And still none of that mattered when it came to the record books. Because what Caitlin Clark did on May 28th at Chase Center in San Francisco wasn't just another milestone on a growing list. It was a statement about the kind of player she's becoming. The kind of player the league has never quite seen before. One who can have the worst shooting game of her young career and still walk off the floor having done something no player in this league's history has ever done faster. But this wasn't just about one assist or one stat line. This was about a rivalry that's boiling over, a comeback from a season that nearly broke her, a team that's finally finding its identity, and a loss that's going to haunt Indiana for a long time. To understand why this one regular season game in May matters as much as it does, you have to rewind. You have to go back to the moment when nobody even knew if Caitlin Clark would make it back to this level. Because 6 months ago, the conversation wasn't about records. It was about whether her body would hold up long enough to have a career worth remembering. The 2025 season was supposed to be Clark's coronation. She had stormed into the WNBA as a rookie and turned the league upside down. Most assists in a single season, most three-pointers by a rookie, most points by a first-year player, Rookie of the Year. The Fever went from a laughingstock to a playoff team overnight, and Clark was the reason. Viewership exploded. Arenas sold out weeks in advance. The entire league's trajectory shifted because of one player. Then the 2025 season ripped it all away. A groin injury sidelined her. A bone bruise shut her down completely. 13 games played out of 40. An entire year of development stolen. Clark admitted the mental recovery was harder than the physical one. Trusting her body again, trusting that her legs wouldn't give out on a hard plant, that kind of doubt doesn't disappear with rehab. And while she sat on the sideline, WNBA viewership dropped 55% during one stretch without her. The league needed her back, maybe more than she needed it. The 2026 comeback started shaky, moments of rust, hesitation on drives she would have attacked without thinking a year ago. But then something clicked, 3 straight wins, Clark moving faster, sharper, more decisive, Boston healthy, Mitchell locked in, Cunningham contributing. At 4-2, Indiana finally looked like the team everyone projected before the injuries, and the next test was the biggest one yet. Golden State was arguably the best team in the WNBA through 6 games, best net rating in the league at plus 11.3, third best offense. Second best defense, fewest turnovers, most threes per game. They hadn't lost back-to-back games all season. And they'd already made history in 2025 as the winningest expansion team ever with a 23-21 record, the first expansion franchise to make the playoffs in their debut year. The engine behind it all was Veronica Burton. In 2024 with Connecticut, she averaged 3.1 points per game, a role player nobody noticed. Then Golden State selected her in the expansion draft and everything changed. She became the first player in WNBA history to increase her averages by at least 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists from one season to the next. Most improved player. Led the Valkyries in points, rebounds, and assists. She entered 2026 averaging nearly 16 points and 6 assists per game. But this game carried extra weight. 6 days earlier, Indiana beat Golden State 90-82 and things got personal. Clark drilled a logo 3 over Tiffany Hayes, the two exchanged words, and Hayes was caught on a hot mic after the game complaining about officials favoring Clark. Then Hayes took it to social media. The whole thing blew up. Clark downplayed it, calling it competitive fire. But when Indiana walked into Chase Center for the rematch, the crowd was hostile, sold out, booing Clark on every touch. Burton set the tone immediately. She blocked Clark twice in the first quarter alone. She was scoring at will on the other end, burying a 3 to push Golden State ahead 14-7. The Valkyries led 21-14 after one. They were in complete control. It looked like Golden State was about to blow this game wide open. But they forgot who was on the other side of that court. Clark came out in the second quarter and changed everything. Not as a scorer. The shots weren't falling and she knew it, so she did what separates generational players from great ones. She changed the game without changing her impact. 3 quick free throws, a Cunningham 3, a steal and a setup for Johnson. Another find to Cunningham. A 12-2 run in the blink of an eye. Golden State's cushion was gone, and right in the middle of that run, the moment happened. Clark caught the ball on the right wing, saw Cunningham cutting and fired a dart. Perfect. no hesitation. Cunningham laid it in, assist number 500. The fastest player in WNBA history to reach 1,000 career points and 500 career assists. 59 games. Sue Bird did it in 82. Ionescu needed 84. Dawn Staley took 101. Clark did it 23 games faster than Bird and 42 faster than Staley. And with 500 assists qualified, her 8.6 career average jumped straight to number 1 on the all-time leaderboard, more than 2 full assists ahead of Courtney Vandersloot in second. She acknowledged it for about 2 seconds and went right back to work. No fanfare, no celebration, that's the terrifying part. She's not chasing milestones. The milestones are just what happens along the way. And she did it on a 3 for 12 shooting night. On most nights, that line would be the headline. Instead, the headline is a record legends couldn't touch, because Clark's impact was never limited to scoring. The vision, the passing, the ability to see plays before they exist, that's always been the real weapon. Indiana rode the momentum through the rest of the half. Mitchell tied it at 42, then hit a floater to give Indiana the lead at 44-42 heading into halftime, from down 7 to up 2 in one quarter. Clark had 4 assists in the second quarter alone. The record was set, but the game was far from over. The third quarter was 7 lead changes in 10 minutes. Neither team blinked. Boston hit a fadeaway, Burton answered. Hull hit a 3, Burton tied it again. Mitchell buried a 3, Zandalicini matched it, back and forth until Johnson buried a 3 to push Indiana ahead 65-60, but Golden State hit a late 3 to cut it to 67-65 heading into the fourth. The fourth quarter was Burton's takeover, a floater to tie it. Then she scored or assisted on 3 straight possessions. Then she blocked Clark for the 5th time. Williams pushed the lead to 6. Indiana looked finished, but Boston hit a 3 to cut it to 3. Johnson answered with another 3. Mitchell drove for a reverse layup. Every time Golden State pushed, Indiana clawed back. Then Clark hit the biggest shot of the night. Down 4 with 3:55 left, 3 for 12 on the night, she caught the ball above the break and buried a 3, 80-81. Then Boston grabbed her own offensive rebound and hit a turnaround jumper to give Indiana the lead at 82-81. Chase Center went silent. For one breathless moment, it felt like Indiana was going to steal this on the road, but Burton hit both free throws. Hull answered with a jumper. Golden State hit 2 more free throws. Boston missed. Golden State grabbed the rebound and pushed the lead to 3. Then it all fell apart. Clark turned it over with 1:06 left. Next possession, she stepped out of bounds. 2 consecutive empty possessions when Indiana needed a basket most. Golden State converted to push it to 5. Mitchell's free throws and a Cunningham layup cut it to 1 with 18 seconds left. Williams missed a free throw, one final chance. Boston caught the ball in the post with 3 seconds left, turned and fired a fadeaway that would have won it. It hit the back rim and fell away. Golden State 90, Indiana 88. Clark stood at the podium after the game and didn't dodge a single question. She didn't make excuses. She didn't point to the shooting numbers or the hostile crowd. She pointed to those 2 possessions, the turnover and the step out of bounds. She knew, everybody in that building knew. Those were the moments that decided this game, and she owned them completely. No deflection, no blame shifting. Just a 24-year-old standing in front of a room full of reporters and saying it was on her. That kind of accountability from a player barely into her 3rd professional season says something that statistics can't capture. But here's the thing that makes this night so complicated and so fascinating. The loss and the record exist in the same space. They don't cancel each other out. Clark went 3 for 12 from the floor and still became the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 1,000 points and 500 assists. She had 2 catastrophic turnovers in the final minute and still finished with 6 assists and 4 rebounds. She got blocked 5 times by Veronica Burton and still hit the clutch 3 that nearly swung the entire game. The 2 things can exist simultaneously, and that's the full picture of Caitlin Clark. She's not a perfect player, she never has been. She turns the ball over at moments that make you want to pull your hair out. She forces passes that aren't there. She goes through stretches where the shot simply will not fall no matter how clean the look is. But even in those stretches, even on her absolute worst nights, she is still doing things that nobody in this league's history has ever done. That is what makes her different. That is what separates a good player from a generational one. Good players disappear on bad shooting nights. Generational players find other ways to change the game. Clark didn't just find another way. She found a way that rewrote the record books. The rest of Indiana's roster showed up in this one too, and that matters more than people realize. Boston had 13 points and 4 offensive rebounds and was the best Fever player on the floor in the 4th quarter. She was the one who grabbed her own rebound and hit the turnaround jumper to give Indiana the lead. She was the one with the last shot to win it. Mitchell contributed 14 efficient points throughout the game and never disappeared when the moment got big. Cunningham came off the bench and delivered her best performance of the young season with 11 points and 6 assists. This Indiana team is deeper than it's been in years. When Clark struggles, others can step up. That wasn't always the case. That's growth. That's a roster that's maturing together. Indiana falls to 4-3 with a trip to Portland coming on Saturday. A winnable game they desperately need before heading back home. Clark has now struggled to shoot at Chase Center in back-to-back visits. 6 days earlier she won the game but didn't shoot well. This time, same building, same struggles, different result. Every great player has a venue that gives them problems. A court where the rims feel a little tighter. The sightlines feel a little different. Chase Center might be that building for Clark. It's early. It's a small sample. But it's worth keeping an eye on as this rivalry continues to build. The bigger picture, though, is what lingers long after you close the box score. Caitlin Clark is 24 years old. She missed almost an entire season with injuries that most players would need 2 years to fully recover from. She admitted publicly that the mental recovery was harder than the physical one. She came back, and within 7 games, she broke a record that a 4-time champion needed 82 games to reach. She's being booed in sold-out arenas across the country, not because people don't respect her, because they know exactly what she's capable of and they're terrified of what she's becoming. Every single Fever game is on national television this season. The league's entire trajectory bends around her presence on the court, and she's barely getting started. If this is what Caitlin Clark looks like on a 3 for 12 shooting night, on a bad night in a tough building with the crowd against her and her body still finding its way back from a season lost to injury, if this is what the worst version of Caitlin Clark looks like, then the rest of this league better hope she doesn't have a good one. Because when she does, records aren't just going to break. They're going to shatter into pieces so small nobody will ever put them back together.